Hello. I wonder if you've read Ezekiel chapter 38 this week. Perhaps not. If you had done, you'd have reached verse 2 and read about Gog of the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Who are these dusty relics, prophesied about over 2,600 years ago? Well, Gog originally meant a roof or an extension to a house. As a name, it means big strong bloke. There are 3 Gogs in the Old Testament, all of whom try to act out their name. Magog means followers of Gog, people who do what Gog tells them without too much analysis or forethought. Well, what about these characters Meshech and Tubal? Scholars who've ploughed their way through ancient documents and artefacts have been able to work out their history and movements. They moved from the Middle East many centuries ago, going north into what we now describe as Russia. Our names Moscow and Muscovy derive from Meshech, and Tubal gives its name to the eastern Russian city of Tobolsk. Now, by now, you, like me, may be making connections between these ancient dinosaurs and current news. Mr. Putin, with his years of posturing half-naked, waving guns behind him, fills the role of Gog, the strong military leader, to a T. A lot, though by no means all, Russians take heed of his propaganda machine and could be described as Magog. Is therefore the battle that Ezekiel chapter 38 describes the current invasion of Ukraine? A word of caution. History is littered with people who've taken ancient scriptures and enthusiastically and uncritically applied them to their own times, sometimes with disastrous results. Cromwell made as much of a hash of the book of Revelation as do the Jehovah's Witnesses, and we live with the consequences of that in Ireland to this day. The battle described in chapter 38 doesn't fit today's events, but it might still have relevance. The Bible's picture of history isn't one of nation states as we understand them. Countries as we know them now are a relatively modern invention. What God does clearly see are the spiritual powers, what Romans chapter 8 describes as angels, demons and powers, which lie behind nations and empires. Nations and empires can rise and disappear quite quickly, while the spiritual powers behind them carry on. I sometimes ask myself, is the EU the latest expression of a pattern, albeit dressed up in bureaucratic clothes, of a desire to conquer Western Europe and make it one? It's happened before. Perhaps Putin is the latest expression of a similar desire to conquer and devastate that Ezekiel 38 describes, a pattern which repeats itself until Ezekiel 38 actually happens. We've all been very deeply moved by the invasion of Ukraine, perhaps because it's brought home what seem distant conflicts nearer to us, and made us ask whether we aren't as secure in peace and plenty as we think we have been. The little church I help out at arranged a prayer meeting for Ukraine last Sunday at 6 hours' notice. 18 people turned up from 4 different churches. Now, had I been leader of the West, I would have ordered a military intervention in Ukraine no little time ago. However, since a grateful nation has yet to declare me Archbishop President for life, we are where we are, and we can but pray. Does that seem a rather feeble response to the dreadful things we've seen on our televisions? It's not feeble. Praying for something is fundamental. Even if Putin were to go, if whatever dark powers influence Russia go unchallenged, something just as bad will take his place. If you want a scripture to base your prayers on, could I suggest you read Psalm 10? Having described the activities of evil, rapacious men, near its end it says this: break the arm of the wicked and evil man. Call him to account for his wickedness. Perhaps this is what we should be praying in weeks to come. Whatever, our complacent reliance on our own good ideas and values comes into question, which could actually be a good thing for us. I'll see you in April, hopefully. Bye-bye.